Hi, it's Ashley from Knead More. Welcome back to this channel. I know that I have failed miserably on uploading on this channel at a good pace, and I am so sorry for that. I've just been thinking a lot about what is this channel? What am I doing with this channel? And I know that originally when I launched it, I really thought that I was going to do a lot more savory recipes and all of that kind of stuff on this channel. And I've come to realize that I'm just not as passionate about cooking as I am about baking, and I've become more passionate about talking about lifestyle things. So I think we're slowly going to start moving in that direction on this channel. It doesn't mean that I won't do any cooking whatsoever. Of course, I do already have some cooking videos up on this channel, but I think I want to talk more about lifestyle, and I want to talk more about things that go on in my life and my life experiences. Almost like having like an Auntie Ashley, like I'm the older aunt that gives you life advice. I don't know, that's just kind of the vibes I've been feeling, and I think I'm going to go with it. And I feel like going into 2024, that might actually make this channel a place that I want to upload more frequently. I love sharing my date ideas with you guys as well, but I think that we're going to still have that content, but I do want to talk more about lifestyle, and it's not lifestyle channels like the ones that we've seen. I think it's not going to be a lot of like home vlogging, more about life advice, like I said, from your Auntie Ash. So you clicked on today's video not to talk about all of that I just talked about, but you came here because you want to know about how I achieved the body that I wanted. Now, we are so inundated on the internet with these fabulously, perfectly posed bodies. And so that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about realistically what I wanted out of life. Now that I'm not a 20-something and I'm really not vying for that type of body. You know, when I was in my 20s, I really wanted the perfect Victoria's Secret angel body, and that was all that I really cared about. And that was why I hit the gym or why I ate healthy. And I talked about this in the very first kind of video that I had about weight loss on this channel. I talked about how that has really changed for me in my 30s. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I will tell you exactly what I did to get where I want to be. So let's talk about what I wanted. What I really wanted this time around when I decided to lose the weight. And when I say lose the weight, I was up at about 168 pounds at 5'3". And I felt it was a lot. If you looked at pictures of me, like there's pictures of me here, I'm sure that by societal standards, I still looked fine. My friends told me I looked good, you know, but it's not really about that. It doesn't really matter what society says. It didn't really matter what my friends said because I still felt not good. I was more tired. I just didn't feel like I had that get up and go energy. Although I was still, you know, knocking off goals left and right. I was doing exceptionally well on my YouTube channel. Being at this weight, it obviously was not that debilitating to that point. I was still physically able to do everything, but I just didn't feel good about myself. And health-wise, like I said, I felt more tired. I also did mention this as well, that with my second child, I developed gestational diabetes. And usually if you develop gestational diabetes, that is somewhat of a precursor that you are more susceptible to developing diabetes later on in your life. And that really freaked me out because I was upset, obviously, with having gestational diabetes during my pregnancy, but I was more upset about the fact that this did have long-term implications. And at that point, when I got pregnant with my son, I was about 142 pounds, which is still considered slightly overweight in terms of BMI. Now, I understand that some people have really big feelings about BMI. I don't think that it's an end-all, be-all, especially when obviously muscle weighs more than fat. But I do think because I did still already feel slightly uncomfortable in my body at that point, to me, it is an indicator that, okay, you know, I'm not feeling as good as I totally could. And clearly in my medical work, it is showing to have some negative side effects. And this isn't to say that everybody is going to have that issue just because they're a few pounds overweight by these medical standards, which by the way, throughout this entire video, the things that I say, I'm really saying in reference to myself, and not giving an overall picture of everybody's health, because I surely can't do that. Definitely, I wanted to get rid of that threat of having diabetes and being pre-diabetic. The next thing that I briefly talked about is I wanted energy. I wanted energy to, yes, make it through my day, but be there for my children in more than just me sitting and being like, okay, children, you can be around me and exist around me. I wanted to be able to actually engage with my children. And I think that when I'm working a job that is obviously a full-time job, I'm a full-time teacher, as well as doing the whole YouTube thing, my energy reserves are going to be lower. And so I wanted to be able to physically have that strength behind me. I think that I do very well already with having the mental strength to be able to shoulder a lot of those responsibilities and still engage with my children. But because my physical energy wasn't following suit, I wasn't actually able to physically be as present as I wanted to be. And therefore, I wasn't as mentally able to be there for my children, if that makes sense. In a more vain sense, I also wanted to be more toned. I was a figure skater for very, very many years. And so I had never really felt as unathletic as I felt during this time period. So I really wanted to get back to that. I really wanted to get back to that feeling of strength and just feeling like I could physically do anything and have that physical capability that I had my entire life. And by the way, the years that I'm talking about are kind of between 2020, 2022 is when I really just felt really down about myself and I really wanted to change. I also wanted to feel like my clothes fit. My clothes were no longer fitting the way that they used to. And I know that as a society, we have this kind of mentality that circulates around. And I have feelings about the body positivity movement. I'm not going to say too much about it right now, maybe in another video. I believe that one should love one's body. And I think that loving yourself at every stage of the game is very important. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I do think that by saying things like, you're never going to have your old body back again, just accept that you're not a teenage girl and you're not going to have the same body that you once had as a 17-year-old. I think that is correct. And I do think that your body changes for sure after childbirth, and obviously you held a child in your womb, things are going to be different. But I think that there's also something that can be a little bit dangerous with that mentality as well. So no, I didn't expect to go back to the way that my body was when I was 16, but I think that it was totally acceptable for me to be like, hey, I did wear these clothes when I was 26, 27. I should still be able to wear these clothes now without feeling like I've got little bits hanging over and everything. So that was one of the things that I wanted. And most of all, the thing that I wanted to stop emotionally eating. And I've never been, an eater that overeats to a degree where I would be diagnosed with anything. It's not like that. It was more like every day after work for about 2 years, I would say, especially during 2020. It was an incredibly stressful time for teachers and everybody that was in, public government jobs. It was very tough. And of course, for a lot of other people too, but it was just very tough because we had all of these expectations, and yet the rules were unclear, standards were unclear about what was supposed to be happening. So to deal with that stress, to combat with that stress, all that I really had for joy was to eat. And my husband and I both love eating. We are big eaters. We are big foodies. We love to eat. And so I would just every day after work go and have like a cheeseburger or go and have some McDonald's. Like McDonald's was my weakness. So I started doing that. And that's when obviously the pounds started packing on. So not only had I not lost the weight of having children, but now I was packing on the pounds as well as not doing any physical activity. We would go for our walks, and I'm sure that even those little walks did help me because I was eating well over an allotment of calories that I personally should have been eating. So those were the things that I really wanted to change. So vanity wise, yes, I wanted to look more toned, but more so I wanted to feel like myself again. It felt like I was almost trapped in this body that didn't belong to me, if that makes sense. So here's how I failed at it the first time. And some of you might not call this failure, but I definitely did, because I'm looking in anything in life, I'm looking for long-termness. I think longevity and being able to do something long-term is a marker of success. So the very first time I did lose a significant amount of weight, and I think I talked about this in that original video. I think I lost like 18 pounds or something like that. So I went from 168 pounds to about 150. And much of that was like baby weight, like residual baby weight. So it was pretty easy for that to come off. And then I went from like 150 to 140-ish. And how did I do that? Okay, well, I looked to the internet and I was like, okay, well, you got to calorie restrict. You've got to cut. If you want to lose weight, you have to reduce your calories. And this is not to say, I am not saying that calories in, calories out is not an effective way to lose weight, because it is. I do believe that. However, I brought my calories down to 1,200 calories. And I think that for someone of my height and my activity level, this actually wasn't that ridiculous. It might sound very, very low for some people, but I'm really short. And I also, although I do get up and move around at my job, I wouldn't say it's like I'm running laps, all day long. So I think 1,200 was good. But here's why it didn't work. It worked kind of, but it didn't really, really work. And the reason is because I was restricting. And so, yeah, that weight was coming off. I went from like 150 to like 140, which is a 10-pound weight loss, which in essence, going from 168 to 140, yeah, that's like a 28-pound weight loss. So it was good. But then the minute I stopped restricting as much, that weight would come on a little bit more. Like, I think I went back up to like 145-ish. So for the most part, I never went back to like that 160 range, but I was like up in the 140s, which again, isn't like severely overweight or anything. It's just, I still didn't feel good about myself. I still mentally felt like I was in somebody else's body that I shouldn't be in. And so I tried to go to the gym sometimes. This is another thing that I also did. I would go to the gym, or I'd do at-home workouts. And I would say, okay, like I'll try my best. I'll do this like 30-minute workout. And I would watch, different Instagram videos or different YouTube shorts or other social media things where you see these insane transformations where they're like, all I did was I worked out from home, ate right, and then I lost all this weight. And I think that that is a story that perpetuates over and over and over again. And logic tells me that, of course, that would be the way to lose weight. That is the way to get a better body. And I'm going to tell you why that didn't work for me, and maybe why if you've been trying to lose weight or you're trying to get the body that you want, why maybe that's not working for you either. My days were spent just obsessing over how many calories I was eating. And because my body was so used to running on a lot of sugar, a lot of fat, coming from that fast food, and the addiction of just the fast food mentality. What I want to say by that is that like I developed this pattern, and I'm a very patterned person. As you can see, if you see how many videos I've uploaded on my channel, once I get into a pattern, it is very hard for me to break that pattern, even bad patterns. So it was kind of like I that was addictive to me, and that just might be a personality thing, but that was addictive for me. That cycle of every time after work you can look forward to having a cheeseburger, having French fries, having that little bit of downtime before you have to go and get the kids. Like, this is kind of the way that I thought. And so again, building these patterns for myself of obsessing over what it was that I was eating, trying to always find the cheat version of foods that I like, and then trying to eat those versions. Do you know what I mean? Having baked fried chicken instead of fried chicken, like, for an example like that. And what ends up happening, or what ended up happening for me, was I would be still left so unsatisfied. Had I just let myself eat the thing that I wanted to eat, maybe I would have eaten, in essence, less calories, less fat, less whatever, less things that were not good for me. And I would have been fine, because if I just let myself eat that thing, wouldn't obsess about it, move on. But I was so big on looking at the numbers, because I'm a numbers gal. So looking at the numbers and being like, okay, I've eaten this amount, I'm going to allow myself this. But what would end up happening is I just go to sleep, wake up, obsess over what I'm going to eat next, watch people on the internet eat food to make it feel like I ate food. Like, it was just developing this entire sense of obsessiveness, and not in a healthy way. I think sometimes you can be obsessed with something in a healthy way. This was not. This was me being obsessive about making sure that I wasn't exceeding those numbers. And on top of that, not really enjoying the workouts that I was doing. Like, I was going through the motions. I was doing crunches. I was doing planks. I was doing all of those things. And because I was a trained figure skater, I have that mentality in my head that any physical thing you can push through, you can make it through. So yeah, I was going through the motions, but I was only doing like 20-minute workouts, 30-minute workouts every now and then, like maybe 3 days a week, which for me is not enough. So I kept failing at this. And maybe you relate to this, where you weren't necessarily, eating a ton of food and falling off the wagon, as they say, but you were getting results-ish, but they still weren't the results that you wanted. And finally, I said to myself, this is not sustainable. Sure, I'm continuing to lose weight. I'm seeing a difference, but how am I logistically going to maintain this weight loss and this lifestyle of such high restriction? Like, really, I took out a lot of carbs. I stuck to eating proteins and vegetables and all those things, and did all the typical, diet culture things that we're told to do. So let's move on to the successful part. How did I get here? How did I get to this body that I'm happy with? I'm not going to sit here and say I have a super model body, but I am going to sit here and say that I have a body that I feel very, very healthy in, that I personally feel confident in, and that is attainable and achievable long term. And I didn't want to make this video until I knew that that was true. So I would say now, for about a year-ish, almost, I would say a year actually, I've been able to maintain this weight. And in fact, I'm still getting more and more toned as I go on. So I really wanted to be able to make sure that I knew what I was talking about before I imparted this information. I was going through a lot of life changes, and I just, a switch flipped in my brain. Being happy is important, and you can actually be happy right now. And I've always had that mentality that don't wait for happiness, don't live for the future, because as a 20-somethings, I always lived for the future. And ever since I hit my 30s, I started living more so in the moment, and being more present in the happiness in the moment, and being able to evaluate what is going to make me happy in life. And so once I was going through this really big life change, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. So what I ended up doing was I was like, I'm going to stop calorie restricting now. And I only really calorie restricted for a few months, I would say. And I did, like I said, I went down to like 140 pounds. Now, I would say that my normal weight, or a weight that feels good for me and where I feel good, is about 130 pounds. It can also range, like if I'm in my 120s, I'm still feeling good at that point. I will say that to get down to the 120s now, after I've had children, is significantly harder, but it's also not something that I'm vying for. Like, I'm not like, I need to be in my 120s to feel good, because now that I'm in my low 130s and I see what I look like and I feel what I feel, I'm like, oh, that's good. And that's maintainable. So I'm no longer obsessed with a number that I want to achieve or anything like that. I'm just constantly thinking about what lifestyle choices I want to make. And so I chose to say to myself, I'm going to go to the gym every single day. And I took a cue from what I did with my YouTube channel. I said, hey, with my YouTube channel, what did I do? I uploaded every single day for a year. And look at the insane results that I got from doing that, right? And I just was like, I've always been this way. I've always been this way, where I just put in the hard work, and yeah, it does create something in the end. So why am I doing the gym halfway? When I know that every time I actually put in the work, it yields way better results. So I said to myself, you don't have to like the gym, Ashley. You don't have to like anything about it, but you're going to go to the gym every single day. So I have been going to the gym every single day. And I realized, as I was on this gym journey, I realized the things that were holding me back in my weight loss life. And I know I'm saying weight loss, but for me, it wasn't just the hard numbers of weight loss. I wanted to get toned. I wanted to have energy. I wanted to feel good on the inside. I wanted to be healthy. And one of the things that held me back the most, and this is going to sound weird, and maybe this is the thing that you shouldn't say, but it was honestly people around me telling me, you look fine. You look good. There's nothing wrong with you. And it wasn't just people in real life. It was also the internet. It is also the internet, where constantly these videos are popping up being like, love yourself for who you are, love your body. And again, there is nothing innately wrong with that. But when someone like me hears that message, it almost like makes me feel like, oh, okay, then I'm fine. I should just embrace this. I'm so tired as it is. I'm a busy mom. And that's the other thing too. People around me would be saying things like, you already do so much. It's totally fine for you to take a couple of days off from the gym. And this was my entire downfall. So I just said to myself, no, it is not okay for me to take a couple of days off the gym. And I say this very, very carefully. I am not saying this as you need to go, just go super hard in the gym all day long, or else you're never going to see results. That is not what I mean. I'm talking about the fact that this health journey of mine has been completely based on mindset. And so my mindset, who I am, needs that perpetual day in, day out type of goal. And it needs to be a maintainable goal for me. So some people do really thrive well on being like, I'm just going to fill my fridge with super healthy foods and I'm just going to eat that all day and that's going to help satisfy me. Or some people are like, you know what? It's not that I can't eat healthy or that I don't want to eat healthy. I'm just not prepared. So I'm going to meal prep every day. And that for them is the way to maintain their goal. For me, I'm a push hard type of person. I want to be pushed and I need to feel like I'm doing something every single day. But restricting my eating and restricting myself of the joyful foods that I like to eat was not working. And that's why, I was losing weight, but it would be slow because I'd eat something that I really wanted to eat. And then I'd just be like, oh, this feels so much better. I'm just going to eat it. And then you just go on this up and down roller coaster. But for me, making myself go to the gym every single day was a game changer. Stopping listening to the advice of others was a game changer. Again, I know this sounds weird, but stop listening to people. Listen to me. Listen to me in that you need to stop listening to the advice of other people that aren't you and that don't think like you. Here's what I mean. I had a friend who lost a significant amount of weight. They looked fantastic. And then I said, wow, how did you do that? How did you lose weight? Oh, all I did was I changed my eating habits. I really watched my portion sizes, and then I went on walks. And that's it. I went on walks and I lost all this weight. That doesn't work for me. I don't have time to go on these super, super long walks at night, especially when the daylight is closing in on me. Being a teacher, it obviously, by the time you get off of school and you pick up the kids, the sun is going down and it's just not safe to be walking outside. So why I thought that advice would work for me, I don't know. Or I would also listen to some other people's advice being like, I've been told that cardio is actually not the way to lose weight. So you should purely be lifting weights only, and you should only do this, and that's what's going to work for you. That is what's going to maintain it. Or you need to be drinking protein powder. You need to be having this in your diet. This is what's going to change everything for you. No. No, and no again. I'm telling you, all of these little tricks of the trade, perhaps there are some that work, but really it's your mind, and it is your mindset, and it is being able to figure out what your mindset is and knowing yourself, knowing what's actually going to work for you. So of course, yes, we know calorie deficit, we know being active, we know this logically as human adults that these things are what is going to help us lose weight. Obviously. But it's about choosing those pathways and how to get there that's actually going to make you successful. So going back to my story about what it is that I personally did, I am a creature of habit. So I knew going to the gym was going to be something super attainable for me because I know I can do that. And I started going to the gym every single day, and I never missed. No matter how exhausted, no matter how tired, I still dragged my body to the gym, no matter how many extracurricular things that I had to drive my kids to, no matter how many videos I was supposed to upload. I did all of those things, and I still went to the gym, and I still had dinner on the table. And this is not me saying, look how great I am. It's really me saying you have to make it a priority. When people tell me that they don't have time for things, it means they don't have time for that thing because they just don't care enough. And so I really, really cared enough to make that really my goal. Because when you don't have your health, you have nothing. And I know that. And I also want to live this life feeling good about myself. I think that insecurity is a big demon for a lot of us. And I didn't want to feel that way. I didn't want to feel insecure about my body. I'm a very secure person in many aspects of my life. And so this was the one thing where I was like feeling a little bit insecure, and I was like, I don't want to feel that way. That's not a good feeling. And as soon as I hit the gym, I stopped feeling that way. And it wasn't as if, all the weight just fell off and all of a sudden I had a 6-pack abs. It's just that I really felt like I'm working towards something, getting those endorphins going. It really is a thing. And some people can't lift weights 7 days a week. And I get that. I'm one of those people. So I started joining classes. I switched things up to make that goal attainable and to do different things. Maybe you're into swimming. Maybe you want to do that instead. Whatever it is, do it. And so I kept just switching up my routine. And right now I'm in my era of wanting to go to all the fitness classes, and I do a lot of dance fitness. As a trained figure skater, I have a lot of fun at those things. And now I get disappointed about not going to the gym if I have to miss it for whatever reason that is out of my control. I get disappointed, not because though I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain 10 pounds if I don't go, but because it's part of my routine. It's something that makes me feel good. It's something that clears my head. And I feel like ever since I've gone to the gym, my head and my thoughts could not be any more clear. I really feel I like that social aspect of being with other people at the gym. I know some people don't like that. Again, this isn't about doing exactly what it is that I'm telling you to do. It's about finding what is actually going to work for your mindset. So because I'm going to the gym and I'm obviously burning a lot of calories, as well as I'm lifting at the gym too. I do a lot of boot camps as well that have a lot of weight training to them too. And so I am continually toning up. I am continually maintaining my weight, but I get to eat the things that I want to eat. And I say this very carefully because obviously it's not like I'm sitting there with, 6 sundaes and that's what I want to eat. It just means that I have freedom in eating. For me, eating and controlling that is hard for me. That is something I find challenging. And just automatically when I'm working out like this and going to the gym every day, the vegetables, the protein, they are the things that I reach for. My body craves carbohydrates too. I have pasta, I have bread. I literally eat whatever I want. If you watch my stories on Instagram, I do eat a lot of indulgent foods, but I also eat salads. I have a lot of different variety of things that I love to eat. But going to the gym helps me be able to do that and helps me get rid of obsessing about what it is that I'm going to eat, because that was not going to be something maintainable for me. So I really feel like although some of those weight loss channels and fitness channels are a great way to pick up new exercises, to maybe find a healthy alternative on something that you really love to eat. And sometimes when you switch to that alternative, you're like, actually, I do like that better. And so I'm not saying that don't ever go watch another fitness channel again and don't ever watch another fitness video. But what I am saying is that this is so much more of a mind thing than I think is talked about. I think when we're seeing short form content where it's just like girls with amazing bodies and men with amazing bodies, we just tend to think of fitness and everything in one way because trends and trending videos in the gym, trending exercises, even trending diets. These are all things that impact the way that we think, and we think, oh, that's the way to, get to there. And here's my final little thing to say. I think that there's a weird phenomenon going on, and this has always been present, but it's even more so present and it's more so loud now because we live in a society where everything is online and everything is visible. And there's body trends, which I think is really weird. Like, in the 90s, it was all about being very, very thin. And then we started getting into the BBLs and looking really curvy. Here's the thing that I have fully accepted, and I hope that for anybody struggling with body insecurities out there, that you listen to my words. It is all about how you own whatever it is that you are given. I personally don't believe in plastic surgeries for myself. This is not to say that I would judge or have anything against other people that would want those things for themselves. As most of you know, I am Chinese. I'm 100% Chinese. The likelihood that I'm going to be this curvaceous girl is very, very low. Both my sides of the family are very thin. My mom's side of the family is actually very tall, but still we're flat. And we don't have hips even. Our ratios are pretty much like 32, 32, 32. That's how it is. But it's about the confidence that you exude with what you have. So although, yes, I am never going to have this hourglass figure, I feel great about myself because I can go running for an hour and be fine. I look at myself in a bikini and I'm like, yeah, I think I look good. And I think it's okay to say, I think I look good. I don't perseverate over my stretch marks. I'm sure I have cellulite somewhere, but I'm not one of those people that look in the mirror and just look and look and look at all of these imperfections that I think that I have. For me, my one and only issue ever was that I did feel overweight after I had my children, and I kept that weight on during 2020, 2021, 2022, until I finally was like, I need to take a hold of this, and I'm sick of feeling insecure about that. And I'm not here to tell you, oh, just stop being insecure, because that would be ridiculous and very close-minded that you could just, get rid of it, because if anybody could wave a magic wand. And so earlier I kind of talked about body positivity, and I think that this is where I do believe in body positivity. maybe not in the sense that it's grown to now, but I do believe love what you have been naturally given, right? I can't change my bone structure, neither can you. So love what you naturally have and take care of it. Take care of it, maintain it, feel good about yourself. And I hope this video helped you guys a little bit on how I achieved what I've achieved. And I love going to the gym now. It's one of my favorite things to do. I still love eating. I still love baking. I love everything about that life. And stop thinking about being healthy as just, oh, all these things have to be taken away from my life, because it's not that. Maybe something just has to be added. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope I'm going to be uploading more on this channel. I called myself Auntie Ash earlier. I feel like I like that, but I don't know. You guys let me know down in the comments below. Bye!